Hi, Brent.
Hello, Eden. Hello, audience.
Hi, everybody.
We're going to do a podcast over 1984
From George Orwell.
from George Orwell. So I'm Bren. I'm a geologist. I have a master's degree in geology.
And I am Eden. I have 2 master degree in philosophy, but as anybody who has done philosophy can understand, I cannot call myself a philosopher.
Okay, so we're coming at this kind of book from 2 very different perspectives. I am rooted in kind of a chronological understanding, a deep time awareness that was kind of battered into me during my bachelor's especially. And Eden over here does the human stuff.
Yeah, I've worked a lot on Sartre and on Carl Jung, and I'm more about like how the individual is taken into a system, and how he, like in 1984, he gets crushed by the system, and how can the individual like spirit awaken from that.
Yeah, and Eden had the great idea of framing our talk through this book with earth and air and water and fire, which is earth is context.
Yes. So earth is going to be like, we're going to like start talking about what is the context of the book from George Orwell perspective, but especially from like the link between this book and our current state of affair.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the air, which is going to be more about the character, the psychic structure of the characters, and about the intrigue.
Yeah. Then there's the water, which is like the feelings and how both the book feels or is supposed to feel, and then also how it made us feel as readers.
Yeah, and also about like the style of the book, how it has been written. It's like the flow of the book, right?
Mm.
And then the
flow, water.
Yeah, and the last one is like my favorite one, is the fire. It's a philosophical message, the meaning, the interpretation we can come up with. That's what I think is the most intuitive to both of us.
Yeah, definitely. So that's kind of like our framework for what we're going to talk with.
Yeah.
I'll kind of start us off with the earth, because I'm super pumped to talk about how time is skewed in 1984. So they, meaning the people who live in this dystopian reality, they don't remember their past by design, because it's constantly changed and never questioned. And I've already mentioned this, but during my undergrads at OU, the importance of understanding the past was uber ingrained in us. Like how long processes take to occur, and like how that change over time manifests, and being aware of the pattern to process and recognizing them. Yeah. So in geology, we have something called uniformitarianism.
What does that mean?
Well, that's the processes that are happening today, like the flow of the river, or erosion by a glacier, like big ice crushing rock. Those processes that we see happening today also happened in the past, and they leave patterns today. Like we see it happen, and then we see the pattern.
Also, the patterns are similar, and so we can guess what it is from the similar patterns.
Yes, because like a river's going to leave ripple marks.
I see.
And different kinds of rivers will even leave different kinds of ripple marks.
Well, gets specific.
It gets really specific.
Yeah.
But the pattern that happens today, we're inferring that it happened in the past as well.
Yeah.
Because these rates stay relatively consistent. Like some geologic events are super rapid, like a volcanic explosion, like Mount St. Helens, and some of them are super prolonged over long spans of time, like the erosion of the Grand Canyon. So that took a long time for all of that material to be moved away.
Yeah.
But that down cutting process, we see it happening still today with the Colorado River through the canyon. It's still removing material. So when we see these modern day processes happening, and we say, oh, this pattern was left here, we're inferring, when we see that pattern in the rock record, we know that process happened in the past.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because those different kinds of ripple marks, like the climbing ripples, we find climbing ripples in rock, in sandstone. It's not just sand. It's not just the shape in the ever-changing sand. It's been solidified, lithified in the stone. So then we see that pattern, and we're like, oh, well, this was a channel. Like this was a river channel. This was really fast flow. There's a lot of information from the kinds of patterns that we see today
I see.
that we can also infer from the past. So that's uniformitarianism.
Okay.
And poor Winston does not get this kind of pattern recall at all, because his job is literally to change the past.
Yeah.
He has to work in the Ministry of Truth,
Mm-hmm.
and his literal job is to change these patterns that happened in the past, so that there is only one pattern, and it's the current pattern of the party.
Yeah, to make things slick and smooth, and to not understand that. I mean, that's a little bit of the story when historians say, like, sometimes history repeats itself, right?
Yeah.
It's like understanding patterns help us to predict what could happen, and that's also why we have laws,
Mm-hmm.
like to not let people like do the same kind of stuff that could be dangerous for society, because we have an understanding of that. Like, yeah, I mean, those laws also work in psychology, they work in philosophy, and they also work in history, and especially in terms of juridic jurisprudence.
A jury, what?
Juridic, like
jurisdiction?
Jurisdiction, like
okay.
jurisprudence.
Okay.
When like they decide that law will apply to this kind of situation, and in those kind of situations,
the precedence has been set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, I would like to present the context more into also like George Orwell like perspective of like, he went through the Spanish War, like it was before like the Second World War. He was like fighting in that war, and he got to witness how some truth were completely different than what he has experienced, right? Like the truth of the party, the proof of that was promoted, and the book is not as much like cynicism of being like we cannot do anything about life, but more like a delusion of like he's still socialist and he still pretends to himself to be socialist, but the book happened in a socialist country, and that's the prediction of what kind of socialist country can sometimes look like if it became authoritarian. And he got to witness like battle that never happened being portrayed as like great victory or something, and defeats that were like quite dramatic and sometimes quite heroic, because he knew people who did like really heroic acts and actions being completely forgotten behind the rug of history. And so that's, for me, is also quite interesting to get into the story of like the context. Is also like Winston is the one taking care of those kind of facts, of saying those battles didn't happen.
Yeah.
We are not at war with those people right now. We're at war with those people.
Fucking wild.
Yeah. And so it's like ideologies, like they end up lying to themselves, and they end up just a pursuit of the lie for the lies, and that's what's like also like end up destroying like the individual reach for sincerity, right?
Mm-hmm. They also have this thing within Winston's world called doublethink.
Yeah.
And I think you had even mentioned to me before that doublethinking is like forgetting your own nature.
Yeah. So doublethink it's quite in some kind of way complex, because you accept an ideas as sometimes it may be happening in front of you, right? Like, for example, like Ren slapped me on the face. And at the same time, she's like, I would never do that.
Oh, right.
And so I still have the pain.
Mm-hmm. But I would never do that.
Yeah. So I have to perceive the fact that, well, I just hit myself. Like, I just, like, why the only, like, empirical experience, like, why you're, like, really living the moment. Like, while, like, the whole crowd is having a whole week of hate about, like, being at war with East Asia, suddenly they're at war with Eurasia. And so suddenly,
even after the whole week, they've been hysterical about this kind of person and like doing really racist things towards East Asia.
Yeah.
And then the guy's up there at the podium and he's like, actually, it's this person.
Yeah.
And everybody change. Instant change.
And that's, I mean, I truly believe that Orwell has had to be witness of some of those kind of things happening in front of him. Like, of how sometimes like the people can trick their own mind, and it's really, really scary.
And even in that moment, Winston recognizes like, we just switched, And because he's part of the Ministry of Truth,
Yeah.
he doesn't question the switch. He just knows he's going back to work.
Yeah.
And they go to work for like a rigorous how many days? They're sleeping on mattresses in the floor
Yeah.
because they have to change everything because the whole war just changed.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even bat an eye. Nobody bats an eye.
No, it's like...
Because it's just like, oh, we got to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Winston is somebody who started to become aware within like the doublethink frame. And so he understands that he still has to doublethink because he cannot show any of his awareness, right?
Yeah.
He cannot show that he's starting to understand that the past is probably different. Like he has intuition like this. Like maybe in the past we were a little bit more happy. Maybe in the past we had like more stuff. But he cannot think that because the party is the utopia. He's living the best life on earth.
And it's not only that he can't think that, he has to control his senses and like how his body moves too, because they're, constantly looked at through surveillance. So he can't even have like a flinch or a blink out of turn. So even though he's having these conflicting thoughts, like he's got to really school his features all the time.
And so there's like, doublethink is like, you start to really believe the lie yourself. Like, it's a lie, but you believe in it. And we thought about the fact that it was fitting to talk about also because we have a war of attention into society. And it's just obvious. You just have to leave your own house or just open your phone and you see the war of attention. It can be also sometimes with your friend, right? Like you have messages and you have notification from them. And then you have notification from social media, and then you have like stuff happening on Instagram, stuff happening on Facebook, stuff happening on TikTok, and then you have the information like right now, like are we at war with that country? Is that thing happening? Is there gonna be like
did we bomb Venezuela?
Yeah. Are the price gonna like go up because of this or because of that? Like during COVID, like there is this virus coming from China. What the fuck? What the fuck is gonna happen? And like and when you leave your house, while you have all this information on your phone, you also have the advertisement. And then you leave your home and you have all the advertisement everywhere, like you should buy this product and this could help you. And sometimes it's true. They could really help us have a better life. Sometimes they're just gonna be us spending money for nothing. And sometimes it's just entertainment because we're so anxious about all those things asking stuff from us that we need to just be like and relax a little bit. And just not think about anything like that. And that's where like you have like a funny cat doing really, really weird thing on video. And you're like just laughing because like this cat is really doing weird stuff.
Right.
And you didn't even know.
It derails that attention.
Yeah. And you didn't even know a cat could do that.
Right.
And
so while we're not in a world that really requires us to double think at the moment, we are in this constant state of the war on attention.
Well, yeah, and ask
and
us
it's
to not
more
think.
to not think at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they give us this bread and circus in one of the most politically polarized times in our country, the States being my country. And the internet is definitely a play, like you were saying, because we finally access this near infinite volume of information from however long ago. Anything.
And right now as well. Right
now.
We can know that king was killed by that guy, which is like crazy. And at the same time, there's a revolution on the other side of the world. And at the same time, somebody was killed in my neighborhood.
And at the same time, we're getting these pop-up ads for buy one, get one specials.
And I want one free. I do want one free. And so, like, with the doublethink, you will really like have a rationalization of a kind of evil, because it's like everything that's evil in the party has to be forgotten, right? It's like it's in some kind of way. It's like if your own team in basketball is playing dirty, and you see your favorite player creating like
flopping.
Yeah, and it's like Draymond Green creating a lot of fault, and you're like,
really being dirty in the paint.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh,
he's gonna stand like he's
like, the refs didn't see. It's okay.
He's helping my favorite player make a 3-point. Like, it's not really a fault. Like and that's a problem, right? When you I've seen people in soccer, in basketball, being so sure, like they just saw that thing that was completely illegal in front of their eyes, but they are so sure it didn't happen. And for me, that's a little bit of doublethink, right? It's like you've just witnessed that thing, and like because it's your team, it cannot happen, because you want them to win.
Right.
For me, that's
part of it.
Yeah. For me, that's maybe the limit that we can experience in our everyday life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean that concept is really important in the book because it's start like with doublethink and it ends up with doublethink. It's really like the whole in philosophy we'll call that like you have the thesis, the antithesis, and then the synthesis. That's a dialectic movement.
Mm-hmm.
And the dialectic movement of Winston is really to stay in the doublethink from the beginning. Then you have like the act of courage, the act of awakening, the act of rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have like, well, he's forced back into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, yeah, I believe that concept is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And really fits well with Orwell, like context of the time. I mean, he just wrote that book after the Second World War in 1949. Or the first, like the Second World War finished in 45. The Spanish War finished in 39. So he had witnessed a lot of war like in a row. And it's the emergence of what is going to be like the Cold War between the communists of the USSR with Russia, like mainly, and then like the American and Europe, like Occidental Europe. And you start to see like a completely like a separation of the world into two entities. And then like within the book, it's like it becomes three because you have the rest of the world.
Yeah. So we've already kind of mentioned the telescreens and the surveillance situation within this dystopian London. For more context, these telescreens are just like the TVs that everybody has, right? Because everybody has to have a TV, of course.
Yeah.
And the telescreens act as both a receiver and a transmitter. So every movement that you do in your house, because these things are like centrally positioned, they have to have like the widest vantage point in the apartment or house or wherever you're living.
Yeah.
They can see what you're doing. They can like view your face, like it's high resolution. And they even have these like little workout things that they do as a community. And Winston like gets distracted one day while he's like stretching, trying to touch his toes. And then the lady who's leading the stretching activity, she's like, Winston, you do better.
Yeah.
Like they're actively surveilling all the time.
Yeah, and everyday life, you never know when they're watching.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're always watching.
Well,
Big Brother is
never.
watching.
Yeah.
Big Brother is watching.
Yeah, he's watching.
So he has no privacy in his own home. And it's kind of like how we have no privacy in our online shopping carts anymore. Because our data is being mined extensively so that they can do things like personalized pricing. Like big stores like Walmart and Kroger are actively personalizing prices. Airlines are personalizing prices because it's, what was this person willing to pay? Yeah,
and it can go worse. Like, I mean, you have like Palantir, was founded by Peter Thiel, whose the objective is really to create an identity of any profile online that can be used sometimes by the police, by FBI. Those record. I mean, they're really interesting in terms of security, but they also like can be dangerous for everybody's freedom. But the most also what you made me think about with the telescreen is that in North Korea they have a radio they can never turn off, with always like the news of the party and everything going on. But what is the most?
Does North Korea call it the party?
I mean, I don't think they call it the party.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, that just kind of threw me off. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, they probably have a Korean word for that. Maybe it's similar. I actually don't know. But what's crazy, it's really like China with like their social credit system.
Yeah, there's a Black Mirror episode that like really parallels that. It's called Nosedive.
Yeah.
And it's about this woman who's like, she gets invited to a wedding of her like high profile friend. Okay. And she's like, oh, I gotta raise my social credit score before I get there. And then like a series of bad events like happens to her, and her credit score or her like social score just keeps dropping.
Well, from a Chinese perspective, she probably deserves it.
Of course, yeah. She talked to somebody with a really low rating.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same in China actually. Like when you hang out with people with a lower rating, your credit social credits system like really goes down.
And like it dictates their neighborhoods and like the stores they can buy from.
Yeah, and
like,
they cannot take the train if their credit is too low. They cannot especially take a plane if their social credit is too low.
Wild.
They cannot even enter into some neighborhoods. Like they have doors, and like you have delivery people who cannot enter the neighborhoods, and so they cannot make money even if the person order, because they cannot get there because they have a social credit that is too low.
And does does social media kind of play into their social credit too?
Yeah. I mean, there will be a lot of things to say about some countries using what you see on social media, sometimes in private conversation, and using it in justice, sometimes against you. But China is definitely one of those. Like if you, I mean, especially if you insult the party, like you're just done, right? But if you just complain about the fact that maybe the price of the chocolates, right? Like in the book, it's like the chocolate ration, they're never going down, right? They're always going up.
The chocolate rations.
Yeah.
Publicly in the news, they're getting more and more chocolate every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every
But Winston knows. He was like, oh, I got more chocolate last week. Less chocolate.
Yeah.
What? But the chocolate ration just went up. Like,
yeah.
What?
And so if you complain on social media in China about the fact that there's an inflation or there's a lockdown.
There's no chocolate.
Yeah. Well, you may have problem.
Yeah. It is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I have on context is that kind of parallels like our modern day situation is we have all these terms and conditions that we agreed to, like Apple being probably the most primary example that I'm at least aware of, of the contracts that we agree to being subject to change without notice. So we're signing these things so that we can use the device that we've already paid for, but they can change their user interface agreement and they don't even have to tell us. So
they can change it. I mean, I've accepted it already. I mean, I have
right. So do I. So do I. And because we agreed to it a month ago, or whenever the last update that we did, you know, like every time you update your phone, you have to accept new terms and agreement.
Even maybe for European it's different.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So when we accept those, even if we agreed to it a month ago, if they put in a new clause. We've already agreed to it a month ago, and we've agreed to any future changes they're going to make. And they're supposed to tell us if it's a major change.
Okay. Do they promise to not do anything really crazy?
Legally, they say they're not going to do anything. I forget the word. It's like unconscious,
unconstitutional?
No, they don't go that far. It's just like, if this is bad, like, we won't do it. I forget
Immoral?
the word. No. Oh,
that's okay. Yeah,
I'll look up the word later.
Yeah, so so what happens is that how do you think it relates to the party? The fact that they accept something.
Well, it's Winston's job. Like they.
Because they're always changing the narrative. Yeah,
and it's just a spooky prelude for us now. Like, we're not in Winston's dystopian world.
Course, yeah.
But the fact that that's already allowed, that people can say, oh, well, they agreed to it previously, they're going to agree again, and they already have agreed again, that's a spooky prelude. Like, we should not be tolerating that. Like, there should be some kind of resistance to say, no, if you're going to change things, we need to be informed. And we need to, if we live in a democracy, we need to be informed, and we need to say, this is okay, or we need to vote against it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just... It's too spooky for me. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Like, terms and conditions that are subject to change without notice, like, it's just not right.
Yeah,
and so many of Winston's terms and conditions of his whole life are subject to change without notice. He just has to accept.
Yeah, and for me, that's put another perspective on like a more philosophical framework from Sartre with the idea of freedom, right? Like, he is not a free individual because he has subscribed by being born in that country, in that region of the world, of being part of that party. And so he's, what we will call alienated, like denied of his freedom, right? And he cannot exist as an individual anymore. Like, he doesn't exist. He's just part, like, he's a fragment of something bigger that
he's part of the machine.
Yeah, part of the machine. He's a cog.
Yeah,
and
he's a cog in the machine.
Yeah. And so the whole story is about, like, he's starting to be aware that he's supposed to be maybe free, or like maybe not that far, but he's supposed to exist. Like, he's supposed to at least have something in him that's awakened, saying like, hey, you're more than that. And that was actually like the great revolution of the West through Christianity, but like before that, to rational like aspect of understanding the word from the Greek. It's really like you can understand the word, like you can understand things about the word by using your reason, and also like you exist as a human, like you exist as an individual. You are more than just part of a group. You are more than just being a fragment of something. And that's where like the human rights were actually also like created, and the denyings of slavery and how bad it was, of like just being like, well, every single human exists and they are a mystery in some kind of ways. And we should respect that. And in the party, like, you don't even exist. Like, there is just nothing.
Yeah.
There's just like, just a collective idea of what is the good, and it's the good of the party. And he's just like, yeah. And the problem of the party as well is that it is everything we reject in our society, right? It is violence, it is fear, it is domination, it is hate. And it is just like everything that Carl Jung would call like the shadow, like really the dark side of our own personality that is like putting outward in their everyday life until they forget that there's something else. So for me, like that will be like my conclusion of like really the context, not only about like the fact that the war of attention, it doesn't force you to believe lies, but it stops you from thinking. Well, like the doublethink is really about like believing lies, but it's like how this party, like this context in which George Orwell bring us, is the party does not erase evil. It organizes it, hides it behind its ideology. And the worst thing of all, that's what I really hate about any kind of movement, especially like Christianity, is like it calls it a virtue. Like it pretends to act according to the best of everybody, but it creates an awful, evil place that we could call hell. Yeah. And they call it like heaven. And that's the worst thing you can do. Is like to
That's doublethink?
Yeah. To use something that's good for the common of that was thought for good thing, like for example, like just a government, like it's supposed to be for the good of the people, right? They're supposed to deal with things for the good of everybody else. And when it becomes corrupt and it starts to like just be like the big and powerful making money out of the proletariat, of the proles, like they say in
right,
the book.
right. The middle class that can never exceed middle classness.
It just became the worst. I mean, it just reached the worst world possible where you can exist.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For Winston and all his buddies.
Yeah. So I think we've been around like really like the context pretty well.
Moving on to the air.
Yeah. Moving on to the air. So the air, like we said before, it's like more like the character, like the intrigues, the story. And I will start with like just asking you, who do you think Winston is? Like, how would you describe him?
Winston is this middle-aged dude with an ulcer on his ankle. And he works for the Ministry of Truth. Yeah. We've already kind of talked about that. He lives alone in his apartment. We find out that he has a wife, but she's like out of the picture. They've been separated for a long time. And he has a really weird like conflicts with the community that he dwells in, right? And that's part of his like intuition of like, oh, something's wrong. Like there could be better, there could be more. And he has
it was better in the past.
It was better in the past, yeah. So he buys this book, just a blank journal, which is a very illegal thing to do because they're not supposed to have paper, they're not supposed to have thoughts, they're not supposed to write.
To be aware.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be aware. So he gets his book and he starts writing down things, and his thoughts are super scattered. They're not really coherent, but he's overwhelmed by this feeling that there are problems in the world. So he's haunted by these horrible visions. Like he gets a really graphic vision of some traitors to the party being mutilated by a helicopter, like the woman and the kids, and really gruesome death. And he's seen this and he's just like, that was wrong. Like,
like I mean, it's a woman trying to protect her son with her own body, which is the most beautiful thing, that the most heroic act in that kind of evil. And they're watching this at the theater on a big screen, and everybody's laughing seeing them being like completely killed. And he has like, once again, for me, it's a really consciousness trying to awake, right? Like
really trying, really trying.
And being like, there's something wrong in that picture. Like he still like believe he should laugh. Like there's still like a little bit of the double thing because he doesn't want to look like
He's been ingrained in it, yeah. And he can't even allow himself to embrace actions that are not in line because he has the fear of like, oh, he'll be observed for not acting correctly.
Yeah. And that's really the thing that started the book. That's really the thing that started Winston. It's like he has seen this scene and he has a diary that he wants to write in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and he has to write in this diary away from the telescreen. So he has this little bitty corner in his apartment that the chair is turned just correctly that he can like kind of hide behind and write. And that's where he does his bad boy stuff.
Yeah, and he's not really writing very well. Like,
no, like his thoughts are scattered, but he's trying. He's really trying.
And he's not gonna write for really long either.
And this is in like extreme juxtaposition of his day job at the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah.
Because
he writes really well there. I mean, he's one of the top journalists and the top.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? Like when you think about it.
He gets to use all of his creativity to fabricate these stories and create these fake soldiers for these heroic things that just never happened.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But they have to happen so that the party's current propaganda is coherent.
Yeah, and he's inventing like, okay, those guys never existed, but they died for the country.
Like when the war changes from East Asia, he literally has to use his knowledge of how the landscape is different and then transcribe all of these battles into an entirely different landscape. Yeah. Like he's really creative.
He's really good at writing in some kind of ways. But at the same time, when he writes from himself, it's just bad. Like
poor Winston.
And that shows that like maybe journalists. I don't want to throw any lost arrow right here, but some people may be able to like really write well a narrative, but when they have to write about themselves, about who they are as a person, they're just lost. And that's why people should write, because it really helps you to structure your own thought. And he doesn't have really thought because he cannot think, but he can craft a story.
Yeah. Let's move on to O'Brien.
O'Brien? Okay.
Yeah.
So O'Brien is more like he's scary, right?
Yeah. O'Brien is our other male main character. So both Winston and O'Brien work at the Ministry of Truth, and they have this event nationally that they call the 2 Minutes Hate, which is this ritual of being extremely hysterical and very hateful towards Goldstein and any traitor to the party. And you just have to participate. You can throw books, you can scream, you can just go totally animalistic during the 2 minutes hate. But then after the 2 minutes, you go on about your day as normal.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a way to expel all of this like pent up emotion. Yeah. And you have to expel.
Yeah, you're forced to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after this particular 2 minutes hate, instead of just going on about their natural day, Winston locks eyes with O'Brien and they have this moment together where he's like, oh, he understands that what we just did is like completely hysterical and odd and weird. Like they had this moment of understanding. They saw each other, you know, like the Navi, I see you.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, we're going to start to go into the spoiler because that has to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't picked up at this point, if you haven't read this book and you're interested in reading it for yourself, like, watch this after you read the book. Like,
yeah, because like now we're gonna start to talk more about O'Brien.
Yeah,
and what an interesting character he is.
Yeah,
and he's not just a villain, right?
No, he's instrumental.
He's the voice of the system, thinking itself. And he's like, it's precisely with the role of O'Brien in the book that you understand what is the thought police doing. It's not about just against like any revolutionary act, because I mean the awareness of Winston is so weak.
He's trying.
He doesn't even have the tools to do anything against the system, right?
Because he wasn't properly educated, and we've talked about this before. Like, if you don't have a proper education, like, it's really hard to know how to rebel, how to effectively rebel.
Yeah. If you don't understand what was going on, you don't even know how. I mean, if you don't understand just the role of a machine, you don't know how to destroy that machine, right?
Yeah, maybe education is like too biased of a word, but like
Yeah.
if you don't have a solid awareness of the system and what's happening, how are you supposed to break away from it?
Yeah. And so he ended up just looking for any kind of dirty trick he can do.
Yeah.
And O'Brien is just like, he precisely sees his awareness in the eye of Winston about the fact that he knows this is insane. And that's when O'Brien, like, thought police kind of like skills are on.
Not even, because we find out later this has been a dance. It's been going on for 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, O'Brien is a shapeshifter. And there's some kind of foreshadowing to this, like, that maybe he tells them while they're at his house. There's some kind of foreshadowing to, like, they can change their appearance.
Yeah.
But then we really get to witness O'Brien's change in appearance.
Yeah.
Because he goes from Ministry of Truth O'Brien into this, like,
really beautiful 40 years old male. I mean, that's...
Winston thinks he's ugly.
Not at the beginning, does he?
Maybe
I'm wrong.
The wrinkles are gone, but I specifically remember Winston like looking up from the table and being like, "This is an ugly man."
Yeah, at the end.
And then O'Brien's like, "You think I'm ugly?"
Yeah, but that's at the end when he changed his appearance, and he started to have a lot of wrinkle. Because at the beginning he has a charisma. He has a charisma. He has clout.
Oh.
And he's like, "Wow, this man feels the way I feel," and he doesn't even dare to, like.
You're talking about the beginning, like before the Ministry of Love.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, O'Brien, like, he really represents like the act of freedom that we can all do, but that choose to do evil instead of good, and he's aware, like,
but
he's
not
aware.
Evil.
No, but he chooses to do evil.
He's just submitting to the party.
Well, maybe
The party
it's the
isn't
same thing
evil?
that Ashman, like, that was written by Hannah Arendt. He was a Nazi guy who was arrested in Argentina. It was like the first time that a really Nazi guy could have a whole like tribunal in the state of Israel. And he was a guy who was in charge of all the train leading to the camp of extermination. And the only thing he said was like, "I was just doing my job." And that's where the banality of evil comes from Hannah Arendt. It's like the idea of like, some people are so evil, but in a way that are like, you would expect that guy to be like in his office, like burning babies, right? Like, no, but like really crazy in sadism of like, he is in charge of all the train leading to the Constitution, and he's like, "I just wanted the train to be on time. I just wanted the thing to work. I was charged with a task that was not mine." And that were like other like experiments, like the Milgram experiment.
We're derailing.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
And I'm not denying evil exists.
Yeah.
I'm just saying O'Brien probably doesn't think he was evil because he was submitting to the party. Which...
Yeah, okay, I agree with you. But he represents the thinking of the party in itself, like...
Yeah.
Really...
I'm not denying that.
Yeah, okay. So we're on the same page,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
On to Julia?
Just like O'Brien, like, he proves the party's real goal. It's not just obedience, but it's the conversion of any souls. That's really like the thing that's really...
The conversion of what?
Any souls.
The conversion of any souls?
Of all the souls of the...
All of the souls.
Yeah, of the individual. Like, nobody can exist. And that's what's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we can... What do you think of Julia?
Julia is the female main character. She is the love interest. She's the baddie of the book. She's much younger than Winston. She's like almost half his age. But they get involved, sexually involved. Whoa. And they're sneaking off into the woods, into all of these secret places to do the dirty. And she's like really, really into sex. She likes that a lot. And she has this kind of double life that she is a member of the anti-sex league. So she is like doing all of this volunteer work and this community work for like no sex. And she's really publicly like got a lot of face that she supports the party, but she doesn't really care because she's like, oh, if I do all of these things, then I'll have enough face to disobey when it pleases me, and it doesn't matter because I do all of these things that are in line with the party ideology. And she was also born so much later into the establishment of the party, like she's half Winston's age, that she can't conceptualize a life or a world without the party's like dominion the way that Winston can. So when Winston has these intuitions of like, oh, something's wrong, she's just like, well, so what if it's wrong? Like, this is the water we live in. Like, this is it. Like, let's just kind of keep face and then bend the rules where we can, because that's all she's ever known. She's never known better.
Yeah, with something about the fact that things used to be different, but for her it was always the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So Winston was trying really, really hard to rebel, and she was trying really, really hard to fuck Winston.
That's the thing? Yeah.
Yeah, because like she talks about all this sex that she's had prior to him, and she's just like, oh, I like it, you know, as baby girl should. But Winston's like, oh, well, the more that you do this, like the more I love you, because he only sees sex as an act of rebellion, whereas she's like, oh, like, let's get down and dirty. Like, she's just into it to be into it.
She's way more in her body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's also a mechanic. Like, she's super sensing. She's super in her body. She understands, like, physical mechanisms because she works in the department of fiction, which produces novels and pornography for the proles. So this poor girl's, like, looking at porn all day, and then she's got all this sexual frustration, and she's like, I need to release, you know, like...
Yeah, Winston, like, he tried to grab to object. Like, you have the paperweight thing, you have, like...
The little glass.
Yeah, the glass, like... But Julia, she's really in the world of the object. Like, she's really living in it. She's in the present moment. She's not thinking about the past, and she's not really thinking about the future.
Right,
she's like, let's enjoy... And she resists, but through the pleasure. She's like, if I don't follow, like, the big rules, I can't do it only if I follow, like, all the little rules. And that's a really deep understanding of how the party, how you can resist the party from the inside. Because she's like, well, I'm going to follow all the little things. I'm going to go to all the meetings, always be on time. But I'm not going to respect that big rules of not having pleasure through sex. And she just chooses like situational freedom in some kind of ways. Like, she is free in her own situation. She's choosing like to be free in what she wants to do, which is quite beautiful. But it's not a complete revolt against the party. She's still playing in the party roles, and she's not really like doing an act of self-awareness and self-rebellion, right? She should survive longer, in my own perspective, because she's not seeking for meaning in the same way Winston is. She's not, she's only into her own experience, while he is looking for something more. Yeah. That he cannot completely grasp.
Right. And something that I never really found to be addressed in the book is if Julia was singularly loyal to Winston only, or if she was having a good time with him and also entertaining other partners as well. Like, I feel like it's maybe kind of implied that she was with him because of the amount of time they end up spending together. Yeah,
at some point they were the only people they could see because
you're also like under all of this strict like regulation of time anyway. But it's just never directly stated. So.
And Winston will not mind.
No, because he'd be like, slave! Do it again! Rebel!
Yeah, rebel. Yeah. All he can think about is rebel. He doesn't know the tools. He just sees somebody rebelling. He's like, she's my girl. Yeah. And she's more also like feeling, like she's more feeling for him. Where he's more like being like, you are rebelling, so I like you because of that. She's more, she's also the one saying, I love you.
Yeah, she totally love-bombed Winston. That's like the whole reason they're together. So Winston initially thinks Julia is a spy. He's like, this girl is watching me. Like, she's one of the thought police. Like, she's gonna get me. And then one day they're like walking past each other at work, and she falls down and hands him a note, and it's like, I love you. They had no conversation. They didn't even know who each other were. Well, and then she's like, I love you.
Maybe she saw something he wrote, and she fell in love with his ideas.
In his one book in his drawer in his apartment?
No. The video goes to the party.
I don't think. Did they
No,
They didn't get to sign
I
it.
don't
Yeah,
think so.
no. It's only the party. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. So that's kind of the characters, and then the storyline is basically Winston thinks Julia's a spy. They start having a lot of sex. Then they randomly, weirdly show up at O'Brien's house, and they're like, "Hey, we're criminals." And then O'Brien is like, "Yes, criminals. Here's a criminal book." And then Winston starts to read the book, and then he gets arrested. And then he's tortured, and he dies. That's the whole story.
Well, I beg to differ. That's an interesting way of showing this, how the story could have been read. Like, I mean, for me, like, Juliet, she really started to be like, she's on part 2, right? Like, you have part 1, and we're gonna come back to this.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the water.
Yeah, let's go to the water.
Yeah.
So the water is about the style, the language, the atmosphere of also like the emotion that we feel while reading the book. And you have the part 1, you have part 2, you have part 3, right?
Yeah. And while I was reading, like, there's little sub-chapters within each of the parts, but the chapters are really easy to blend together.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that the chapters were probably more instilled for Orwell to keep himself, like, online, and then the parts, the part 1, 2, and 3, were for the reader to understand the transition of, like, I don't even know, the transition, the thought processes. Like, this is the main point in part 1, which is just kind of the introduction to this dystopian London, the introduction to this way of thinking with the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Plenty, the Ministry of Love. And then in part 2, we have the whole Julia escapade. And then that manifests as also like, we're criminals. And then part 3 is just like, oh, now we're caught and we're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, the part 1 is more like the atmosphere, like the way it's written is really like, it made me anxious. I didn't like, I had a hard time to read it, right? Like, it was slow, it was progressive. I didn't like the way it was. I don't like to read this kind of stuff. Like, it was not enough idea. I felt like in a closed system that I could not escape from, which is also the kind of language that's Orwell decided to use. Then the part 2 is really about the hope and the feeling you start to feel like about that guy find a girl. I mean, he just finds someone, right?
Someone.
Just someone, and they start to do stuff, and he starts to have pleasure in his life.
Yeah.
For the first time.
He gives up drinking. He doesn't drink the victory gin.
Yeah. And
like, he stops.
And his body starts to feel better.
Yeah.
And because they have like a victory gin and a victory coffee.
Victory coffee.
We still don't know what is in it. Like, it's just like the victory.
It's not
like,
real.
It's the brand of the party.
Yeah.
Like, they also have like a kind of victory beer for the pros. But yeah, he's getting drunk all day long with the gin. Like, he's drinking this and
he drinks it for dinner.
Yeah, for lunch. Like, it's at his workplace, right? They get to drink gin. Like, it sounds like it's pretty free. While everything else is really, really, especially chocolate, it's really expensive. The gin is free. And so, yeah, he stopped drinking. And like, that's for me like really the part about hope. Like, is he gonna get aware? Is he gonna like be able to rebel against the system? And the third part is about the cold reality of the world he is in right now, and it's like he gets betrayed by O'Brien, who is actually an agent of the thought police that was pretending that he was helping him. And the evil book is like, it's like the last moment of awareness, and he just like right before he gets arrested, he goes to sleep and he has like a thought of like being aware of like knowing that they cannot really, like, they can try to kill us, they can try to erase our thoughts, but once you're aware as an individual, they cannot do anything about it. And that's just wrong, because the party is gonna make him go back into like the doublethink and doublethink and erase any awareness of who he is and what the context in which he is.
Yeah. I felt like the first third of the book was really slow. Like, it took me a while to get into it. It was easy to put the book down. I wasn't super engrossed. But as we got closer to what Eden would call the awakening of the feminine spirit within the man, it really picked up.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to read the book all the time, which was hard because Eden and I were trying to read this like chapter and chapter in tandem, which when you live 8 hours away,
Yeah.
because Belgium, Oklahoma, we weren't always on the same time scale, you know, so we were having to go through that in tandem with that, and it just got harder and harder to put the book down and keep that promise to each other.
It was pretty easy at the beginning.
Yeah, because it was just like, oh,
it was more like
read 10 pages.
It was more like she read, I have to read now.
Yeah.
Which was a really great motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find a buddy to read with, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you can do cool things like make this video about after the book. Anyways, so as somebody who usually reads like epic fantasy, romantasy, like magic, dragons books with very strong, badass female main characters, I was also really struggling to be like, why are we following this random old man around? Like, what are we doing? Like, why is this our main character? He has an ulcer. Not that anything's wrong with ulcers, but like that was a big part of his character. It's just like this ulcer's always bothering him. Always bothering him.
It's like so gross, right? Like it's
and it's just like what are we doing? But that's our Winston. And then there was also in the first part this like impending sense of claustrophobia, kind of like it was uncomfortable to read while Winston's in his apartment because he's always being observed by the telescreen. So that was also something that just made it uncomfy. And of course, I mean, it's a dystopian novel. I was disturbed by the parallels that I was seeing through this, you know, fiction book and things that are happening today, like stuff we've already mentioned, like the surveillance and the war on attention and personalized pricing, like
especially because the book was written in 1949.
Right. Like, this book is approaching a century of age, and it's
it's approaching, more than since, and it's like, the style, like, it's really not a decoration, right? Like, that's where I mean, as myself, like, I really love literature, I really love, like, the analysis of style, and it's, like, more like a conditioning of, like, you get into Winston experience. You get to live through his experience. At first, it's like boring everyday life, but you still have like a few sparks of like, oh, this could happen. Oh, this could happen. Oh, maybe O'Brien is a friend. Or maybe he's this. Or maybe there's that. And then you get the baddie, Julia, coming into the picture, like really crashing. Boom. And it is a spirit of an adventure, like every good woman can be for a man, right? It's like, get out of your room, get out of your PlayStation, and go into the world and go have sex. I mean, that's what it is at first, right? And then after, it's like, let's go do something concrete and rebel against the party. And but that's end up crashing dramatically. And that's where like we have again this kind of like vocabulary of pain, of suffering when he is like in part 3. Like you pass from like him describing how like the little like birds are like starting to fly around him to like all he can think about is the pain, the suffering, and at the same time, like, which is crazy, he trusts O'Brien even while O'Brien is torturing him.
What did you call that? Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah. And but it's more than that. It's like he never had any dad. He had daddy issues. But there also like the fact that O'Brien is so charismatic that even if he knows he's not acting for his own good, it's still a presence that is there that he knows. While everybody is torturing him, and you feel again like the claustrophobia of just bad thing happening again and again. That's really the moment when we really read as fast as possible. You just wanted to finish. We
hammered through. We drank a Joko Go and stayed up all night to finish this book.
I was still hoping, really at the end, that O'Brien might have been a good guy pretending to be a bad guy. I mean,
I was too. And that's what makes his character like so crazy interesting. Is like you want him to be an ally. You think he's an ally.
You yourself in your own reading, you still trust
Yeah.
that he can be good.
He's gonna turn around.
Yeah.
It's just a facade.
Yeah. And
The torturing is for Winston's benefit.
And that's where you're quite right about like him being a
Shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy time. The last thing I have for the water is how the font, the actual like stylistic font of the text changed. So when O'Brien gives the criminals this criminal book, this is Goldstein's book.
Yeah.
And when we as the readers get to start reading with Winston, the font changes. And in my book, which was printed in 23, it's like the 75th edition, the font becomes lighter, taller, thinner. Like it's a huge stylistic change. And then in Eden's book, there is a change, but it's only like the size. It's only the size of the font. So it's important that that the change is symbolized when we go from reading Winston's point of view to Winston reading Goldstein's book.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, because his book represents like the truth beyond the party system and beyond everything he knows. And I feel like the font, like being a little bit smaller, makes it a little bit more hard to read. While like yours being different makes it more like this is what it is, like this is true. And mine is like it is a truth that doesn't want to be deciphered. I mean, but yeah, and also like the fact that like the language changed dramatically as well again.
Yeah, the language did change, but I think that was necessary for the coherence of the story.
Of course, yeah.
We go from this guy who's got scattered thoughts into this like bombing of world truths, and it's probably too much for Winston to comprehend while he's reading. Like he's probably reading the words, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is everything that I knew, but I couldn't articulate it this way."
Exactly.
Which is another thing that he admires O'Brien for. At one point, he's like, I could never even have a thought that O'Brien hasn't already had.
Exactly.
Like,
that's
poor Winston.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, especially as young undergrads in philosophy, we thought about that. We were a philosophy teacher. About like, wow, like all the best idea conceptualize about that philosopher, about that subject. My professor like already had that really long time ago. I can never come up with a new thought. And that was a little bit scary. But yeah, I also think that like that vocabulary like being like, a little bit more complicated, it's easy for us, it must have been hard for him. But also because the way they want to frame their own vocabulary right there is a new speak.
Yeah.
And it's not only like censorship, right? It's a violence against the way we frame our own reality. Because the language we can use, it's also like one, the horizon we can think of, and two, the horizon we can share with other people. And like they don't want the word bad to exist anymore. It's not good.
Yeah.
And so there's really like this idea of like you only have one horizon, like one shape of the words that you can use, and every single words that could like create a different like nuance and appears like or like different way of thinking, they're all eliminated little by little from the vocabulary. For only the...
Yeah, because they're on the 11th edition of the Newspeak.
Yeah.
Little by little.
Yeah. So that also shows like the awareness of Orwell about how important it is to be able to think, to write about yourself, like because Winston cannot write about his own awareness, and also like the vocabulary we're using in everyday life. And if I can just...
And not only the vocabulary that we're using today, but the vocabulary of the past in the context of the past. Like the patterns and what words meant to people in the past, and now how they've been possibly skewed in the present.
Yeah,
like
because
that's not even an option for Winston.
Because, I mean, when people try to read Shakespeare nowadays, it's hard.
Oh, yeah. Because, I have no doubt.
Yeah, especially if you spend your life like sending text and being on Instagram and you it's the same for French books, right? When you try to read a really old French book, especially me when I was in high school, for example, that was a time where like sending like every single text was abbreviated because we had to pay for every single
TTYL.
Yeah. And so we had to really pay for every single thing, and so we were really used to have really words that were not words anymore, They were just abbreviation of words. And then when you read a book about a way your language was spoken 200, 300, 400 years ago, you're just so confused. And then you start to understand like the history, the records of the words, of the language. Oh, we're using this that way nowadays. That was what is like this in the past. And you start to understand better your own language, and you start to understand better your own thought. And I mean, Winston is completely cut from that. He doesn't even have books to read except the book that have been accepted by the party. They even say that they rewrote Shakespeare to only make like words that make sense for the party. Like some people are doing poetry and they cannot find another words that really fit
because
well.
There's not enough newspeak words to rhyme correctly, and
yeah.
Somebody got vaporized because they said the word God, but there were only like 11 options that even rhymed in the whole language.
With rod.
Yeah.
And so he had to find a rhyme, and he could not find it. And that also shows us, like, and I'm really glad. Like there is really two concepts. You have Doublethink and you really have Newspeak that really come from the book. And we should be careful in our everyday life about Newspeak as well, as much as the war of attention, because we should be able to at least be to be able to really share our emotion. For example, when something when something is really bothering, like cap kind of commentary, right? I should be able to say it like, hey, Brian, that hurt me because I didn't feel respected in the way I was speaking about, right? You should be able to, and use the proper words. Also, like, say, like, I was not angry, I was not in fear. Like, what kind of emotion is that relating to? Because that's exactly what they're trying to make it disappear, is any kind of being able, like, if you're not able to even identify your own emotions, how can you communicate it? And they don't want people to communicate emotion because they don't even want them to be talking to other people. They're just individual, completely fragmented.
It doesn't matter what kind of emotion you have. If it's any kind of opposition, it's not allowed.
Yeah. You can only have hate against enemy of the party.
During the 2 minutes hate or the week of hate.
Yeah. So this is why, like, I think George Orwell like really put like the fact of like, if you can be sincere with your own words and courageous to look for your own thought, like, and that's where we get to the fire, right? Like
the fire.
This is the fourth part of the interpretation that we're giving right now, and it's about like the philosophy, the message, what we find in that book. And for me, it's really like, if I can really write a conclusion about like the two main concepts of that we've been talking about, it's really like if you can be like find like sincerity and in your own speech. So do not lie to yourself. Do not use words that make you be able to not even know what you're truly thinking yourself, and be courageous in saying the truth and thinking what you really want to think, and you get to a better words. And if you do exactly the opposite, if you keep on lying, if you keep on like not even knowing what you think, if you keep on like watching something happen, and I mean, especially nowadays, like now there is AI videos. I've seen like Stephen Hawking dance really crazy stuff and score like 3-pointers and do like, I mean, at some point it was.
I've seen herds of cats be taken up by tornadoes.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of creativity, right? Which is awesome. But there's sometimes also like people who are trying to make us believe things that are wrong. And we should be aware of that.
Like deep fakes.
Yeah. Or like fake news and like all those kind of things that we are keep on talking fake and sometimes maybe like conspiracy theories. Yeah. People are creating theories about people conspiring.
Whoa.
About people,
Whoa.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, maybe we'll come back into this kind of subject in another podcast.
Sure.
But
so 1984 is a cautionary tale to time literacy and in some ways financial literacy.
Which way?
Because they have this everlasting war, this continuous war.
Oh yeah.
And
War is peace.
War is peace. So we find out in Goldstein's book that the reason the war never ends is because that has to be the surplus of products.
Yeah.
Like there has to be something to demand all of this productivity to continue, but never hoard up in any one place.
Yeah.
And the war is how all of that is used. And they make these giant things called what was the unsinkable islands, the war islands? What were they called?
The fortress.
Unsinkable fortresses.
Yeah.
So they would build these things which are like huge, 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 and then as soon as they built it, they destroy it and they make another one because the war destroyed it.
Yeah.
So
But it was unsinkable.
Right, unsinkable.
Like the Titanic.
So, whoops, I got confused on my notes. Yeah, we'll just keep going with this. The financial literacy is if you follow the money in the book, like you're seeing that all of this money, all of this produce is going into the war, and then the war isn't progressing, and that's by design by the party. So the financial literacy importance is, you know, follow the money here in our real context today. Like, where are our resources going? What are we doing? Like, we need to be aware of what's happening with our resources.
Yeah. Also to be aware of, are we having a better life or worse life than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 50 years ago? And why? And how can we
it's not just the news telling us that it's better. Because
exactly.
That's exactly what happens to Winston.
Or the news telling us that it's worse.
But
because like if there is more war and like, I mean, during our parents' era, the Cold War was there. There were like true fear of nuclear war. We have way less of a fear of those kind of concepts right now, right? Like in some kind of ways it is better. In some kind of ways it is also better than 200 years ago or like before the penicillin was a thing. Because if you hurt yourself, if you have an infection, we can cure that. For the diabetes, for like even like cancer, like we are starting to find a lot of remedy. Like life is getting better in a lot of ways, but is it getting better like for everybody? Like when we have a phone, when we like lost and with all the things that happens, when we're not going outside anymore, when people get
going
anxious.
Outside is important. Touch grass.
Hug trees.
Hug trees, but don't be a tree hugger. I'm kidding. Do what you want.
But yeah, and so the party really cannot. It really cannot tolerate like inner freedom, which is something that's is gonna keep on happening because everybody has that freedom, like screaming to like letting them go, and so they're trying to what we call a cube, trying to create a cube of like what is possible, and in the same way we're trying to always create our own like little garden and say this is the thing, this is the person I am. This is the way things are.
Like
this is the way, This is the way things should be.
Yeah.
But reality, I mean, we've seen that like, the future is also unpredictable, right? And so the party is trying to do the impossible, like, and it is still working until the end of the book. But I believe that it's gonna end up being dissolved
at some point.
Yeah.
But at the end of the book, we still have this black hole, which is the continuous war. Like we still have this thing that's just sucking up all of the resources, and that demand for the production, without any chance of a stockpile happening, is what creates this like stasis in society. It's what holds the society.
Yeah, that's the objective.
It doesn't let the middle class rise up ever because the high class is holding and has designed this system. Hoarding. Yes. So the inability to have this financial resource holds everything in a stasis, in a box. Like if we imagine a little four-sided square, because that's what a square is, and we imagine it on a sinusoidal graph, and this graph is moving through time. So we've got this
graph. I'm making the graph.
Yeah. So it's a sine graph, and it's oscillating through time because we
like
are
waves.
moving, just like waves. We're moving through time, and we have this box that's trying to stay
like the
at
box in the wave.
one, right? It's just trying to stay here, and now it has to go down the graph. And if we need a picture, so if we have this box that has to stay at value number 1, and then the graph is oscillating, it's going to tumble down the trough, and then it's going to have to go back up the slope for the mountain, the peaks and troughs. Like the graph, the nature is just going to continue oscillating, and this party inclination is that no, we want everything to stay rigid, and that's just not going to be upheld, which like leads into like your theory of like, oh, well, it's happening at the end of the book, but it's probably not going to happen forever.
Yeah.
Because that poor little square is going to require constant upkeep and constant maintenance to even maintain its sharp corners, its right angles. Because if it's on this oscillating, like, moving graph, it's going to have rough edges in it, and when it moves, it's going to hit those weak points, and it's going to create vulnerability within the structure that the party is trying so hard to keep, because the party is the square. The party is the square, and it can't allow any oscillation because it creates the vulnerability.
Well, that's also why, like, if you go back to like what we were saying at the beginning of the record of time from a geology perspective,
sure,
from a historical lens, no totalitarian system has sustained itself through the record of time. Like, the more time passes, the more the system is going to disintegrate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the dictator, like, they always end up dying one day or another, and then
because people die.
Yeah, and then you have a natural cycle of like people like taking on the power, and the nature, like the nature, you can try to create, like, once again, a garden, right? And try to keep it like you to have your grass like perfectly intact and everything. But so one day or another, like, you're gonna have like weeds, and then you're gonna have other stuff.
Yeah.
And even if it's in your lifetime, you're gonna keep it perfectly intact. When you're gonna die, there's gonna be more weed, and then when your children are gonna die, maybe more, and then maybe it's gonna be a forest in 200,000 years. Maybe it's going to be a desert. Maybe it's going to be an ocean.
Oh,
But you're never going to be able to keep your garden for your whole life.
Sure.
And that's what the party is trying to do. And that's where it will eventually fail. And that's where we can hope for always a better tomorrow.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to use that as a bridge back into the time literacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Uniformitarianism in geology. We use the present patterns to understand the past processes.
Yeah.
Because we see present pattern, we see past pattern, and we're like, oh, this process made this today. It must have been that process in the past. Yeah. But in the human realm, in like your sphere of this whole ordeal, it's almost opposite of what uniformitarianism is, because we're encouraged to take the patterns of the past and then apply them to the present. So that's opposite of what uniformitarianism is used for. We're using the processes and the patterns that we see in history because history repeats itself, and then we're applying it to present day. So it's the same concept, it's just
reversed.
Yeah,
I see. That's quite interesting. Geology is cool.
Geology is so cool. Yeah.
All right.
So the last things I have is the war on attention is trying to make us forget that we can enterprise. Yeah. And then the dystopian setting of 1984 is unfamiliar enough that it still feels like it's another world. So we can still look at it and just like, oh, well, at least we're not like that. Yeah. But I think Orwell's kind of purpose in this is drawing enough parallels that we, as the present readers, can see the patterns and recognize the patterns and be like, like, so that we can just know what danger may exist before it actually does. And that's kind of my wrap on fire.
Yeah. So about the spirit of free enterprise, just say it two words, and then we can go to our conclusion. They don't even have inner freedom. And you have a little bit this with the consumerism, right? If I can draw a parallel that we have right now with the fact that if you are always taken by the war of attention, and we all are in some kind of degree, especially at our age, right? We always forget that we can create our own company even right now, and we could like.
It's $120 to get an EIN in Oklahoma.
Okay, well, it's pretty cool. I don't know the price in Belgium, but yeah, and we could do things, right? And the attention is being grabbed away, and the capitalistic system that we're living right now has completely changed from the spirit of just free enterprise, of anybody could try their own like ideas and create their own system and become successful. And I mean, in some kind of ways, it's not completely dead yet. I mean, we see Elon Musk. I mean, there is not starting with nothing, right? Even Zuckerberg, like, he created Facebook. He got really a billionaire so early in his life, but he was still like a smart guy coming from a really good family. But some people can create sometimes like a weird sponge.
Scrub daddy!
Or like they can create like a lot of products that can become really successful.
Yeah.
But the consumerism mind is like just like consume and don't create. Like look at other content, look at other people doing things, and that's why we're trying this podcast. Like we're just so yeah, that's why people should enterprise.
Yes.
They should create things, touch grass, go outside.
Yes. We had technical difficulties. My phone died. So here we are, back. And that is exactly why people should enterprise.
Yeah. So we had one last thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, I read the book and I was pretty sure about the ending. And I realized while doing this podcast with Brent that we had a completely different vision of how the book ends.
Yeah, we were prepping our notes last night and Eden started talking about how when Winston goes back out into the real world and sees Julia again, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that wasn't real. And then we discovered that we had entirely different interpretations of how the book ended.
Yeah.
So how I interpreted it was Winston is in the Ministry of Truth. He's getting tortured by O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And O'Brien is constantly like reading Winston's thoughts. He has no privacy. Like, he's laying on the table. He's like, oh, this man's ugly. And O'Brien's like, you think I'm ugly. Like, it's very clear that he has awareness of Winston's thoughts.
Yeah.
And then also, on the last page of the book, we go back to the corridor, the big hallway. And when we previously saw this corridor, it was when Winston was having the realization of accepting the party, and he still needed to accept Big Brother at this point. That was like the last contingency that O'Brien was still waiting for Winston to like conform to.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes back to that corridor, and then we have this line that says the bullet was entering his brain.
Yeah.
And then Winston, the very last line in the book is, he loves Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I took that very literal. I'm a really literal person, but I literally took it as like, oh, like he's in the corridor. It's aware that he has flipped over. He now loves Big Brother, and the bullet entered his brain, and that's it. Like, that's why we don't have any more story, because Winston's point of view ends. Like, that's it. He died. He got.
I don't agree.
I know. So tell them what you think.
Well, I think that's, I mean, I was quite surprised that you could think such a thing. And at first I was quite confrontational.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it was true.
We argued.
Yeah. I didn't even believe it was a possibility. Then reading more about it and reading more about what you really thought, I was like, okay, I think it's an open ending in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think
I can agree with that.
My interpretation is right, and your interpretation is more like conspiracy theories, right? Like it's theories that are made by other people on the side.
I think mine is rooted in reality, and yours is fantasy, whimsical, poetic philosophy.
All right. So the poetic mind says that you should be careful with the language that Orwell is using, and I feel like little by little, Winston is going back into the world, and he has another like position in the party. Like he's more important because he's been brainwashed, right? In the same way, people could get brainwashed during any kind of authoritarian regime, like Nazi did brainwashing, communists did brainwashing in USSR. Like it is a common thing, and maybe some people will argue that it's still happening right now with the media in our own realities, where people can completely change their mind and believe things that they didn't believe in the past by just exposing themselves to a lot of conflicting ideas. And I believe that they are just doing the experience of letting him have his own life and seeing how it goes, because they believe that they've done enough. And we're going to see how the inertia of the torture is carrying on now that he's gone. And he gets to meet Julia, and for me that was like the moment I was really hoping for like any kind of hope. And he gets to meet her, and he tells the truth about the fact that I betrayed you, not only in my words but also in my heart, because he decided that he really, really wanted her to suffer instead of him. By being in a room called Room 101, where the worst torture that you can imagine for yourself is happening to you. And he was like, I would rather have her than me having my torture. And that's the way that truly broke him. And when he meets her, he's like, I betrayed you. And she's like, I betrayed you too. But at the same time, they did that under torture, right? Like, they didn't do that for their own pleasure. They didn't do that because they got drunk in the party and they decided to betray each other. They were like, I mean, for we don't even know how long, right?
We
like,
don't know how long.
Yeah, months at least.
Long enough for Winston to wither away.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, but we should see each other again. And that's for me, like, was really the hope of like, maybe they're gonna see each other again. And he starts to follow her, but then he has like really like the little call of alcohol and of the bar. Like the bar is calling him, and he lets himself being lost in the crowd and lose her of his sight, and he just go back to the bar. And that's where like he's listening to a word that he believes is not. He used to understand that it's not true. And it's listening to a really important battle because the enemy is really like going through their line and getting so much ground, and it's really awful, and they're really gonna lose. But there's really important information in 30 minutes, and he waits for the 30 minutes, and then like he ends up like drinking and waiting, and he's anxious about that. Are we gonna win? And he completely forgot that he just saw Julia, and he completely forgot about anything else. He's really into it's like. He has like all memories from the past, which are true memories, but he now calls them fake memories, because they're not in line with what the party says. Is right.
Like he even like has these fake memories of his mother
and his sister.
Yeah.
And when he learned that the party won, he feels the joy about everybody's feeling, and he feels that like in his heart that he wants to run, but he doesn't have the abilities to. And he's so happy that he thinks about his past in the interrogation room, in the hall, being followed by the guard.
Because he was back. Yeah, there is a line that says he was back in the Ministry of Truth. And to me, that was like a glimpse out of the daydream. Like that's where he really was.
Yeah, but it says that he started to daydream. And even the person giving him alcohol, like giving him his Victory gin, is not taking him away of his daydreaming. And it's like, I forgive.
See, that's something that we really got stuck on that part in the argument, because Eden was like, how can he be daydreaming when there's a person in front of him doing an action? And like, I don't understand how that's even an argument that you're portraying, because have you never had a dream where you have another character in your dream?
Yes, but if you're no, for me, like the how it is written, right? The language that is being used is like he's daydreaming so hard that the person coming in front of him, he's not even seeing him. But what happens is that he goes back in the past, in the interrogation room, where for you, he is.
For me, it's a glitch in the torture-induced like psychosis, like.
So his daydreaming is actually seeing the reality.
He glimpses the reality. He falls out of the torture-induced like Big Brother. Like, I think it was all some kind of matrix that whatever is in Room 101 was playing.
Yeah, I don't believe it, but I mean that's a really interesting scenario. I believe my ending is more literal. And
so comment below.
No, just 1 second.
Yeah.
And so when the bullet entered his brain, and he says like he loves Big Brother, which was like really beautiful, because he said when the bullet is gonna enter, I'm gonna hate him. It's like, and
that's what he said before.
Yeah, that's really what he wanted, like to really anchor himself. Yeah, but that bullet, it's metaphorical. It's not a true bullet. And it's like, just like he has just lost his identity. He has just lost himself. And he loved Big Brother. He had just disappeared as a free individual, as somebody who was awakening. And he completely fell. He completely lost himself. Yeah. And that's where I believe that he's going to be killed soon by O'Brien. I agree with you, but not right now.
I understand that perspective. I just don't think that's what it portrays.
Okay.
And that's okay, because there's a lot of controversy about this on Reddit. I tried to find some people to back me up, and it's like there's a lot of people who think it ended literally him dying, and then people who think it's a metaphorical bullet. So
we agree to disagree.
We agree to disagree. And you should comment below whether you think Winston died or not.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. So, have a beautiful day, night, or afternoon, depending on where you are.
That's a wrap.